Hello everyone and welcome to this webinar on getting started with thisislanguage.com. I won't take up too much of your time today. We're just going to look at how to get your account set up and ready for the new school year, focusing on the easiest way to get your students set up and working on thisislanguage.com. My name is Laura and I'm Content Manager here at thisislanguage.com. I want to try and keep this webinar nice and short. I know you all have a lot on your plates at the moment, so I'll aim for around 10 minutes from me, followed by 5 minutes at the end for any questions that you might have. It's worth letting you know that as soon as we finished, I will send around written instructions for everything that I cover here today, so please don't worry about taking notes. And just one last point before we get going. The thisislanguage.com team are working remotely. This means that I am hosting this webinar on my home Wi-Fi. If there are any technical issues, just let me know by using the chat function and I'll get it sorted for you as soon as possible. Right, here we go. So today we're going to look at how to get rid of last year's students, setting up this year's classes and adding your students into them, and registration codes, what they are and how to use them. By the end of this webinar, you'll have all of the information you need to go ahead and set up your classes for the new school year. Just before we get into it, I want to point out one very important thing. Students only need one thisislanguage.com account, no matter how many languages they study or classes they're a part of. This is really important to remember, and it makes it so much easier for students to remember their login details too. Just so you know, I'm going to be using screenshots from the site today, rather than accessing the site itself. This is purely for bandwidth reasons, but everything you see here today is exactly the same as what you will see when you log into thisislanguage.com. So, I want to start by showing you how to archive students who no longer need their thisislanguage.com accounts, and to make room for students who are new to our website this year. When you log into the site, you'll see your name in the top right-hand corner of the page. Just click on your name and select Students from the drop-down menu. On the next page, use the filter at the top of the page to view either all of the students in your school or to view them class by class. Excuse me. Your students will then appear in alphabetical order by surname. All you need to do from here is check the boxes to the right-hand side of any students who no longer need their thisislanguage.com accounts and hit the green Archive Selected button at the top of the screen. You'll then be asked to confirm your selection. Just hit confirm and you're good to go. And it really is as easy as that. That's those student accounts you no longer need removed, and you've got lots of space for your new students. Now on to adding this year's classes. To get to the classes page, just click on your name in the top right hand corner and select Classes from the drop-down menu. Then click on the green Add a Class button. You'll then be asked to fill in class details, including name of the class, language you're teaching, year group, and owner or teacher of the class. Here, you can also choose whether or not your class can use our snail function. This function lets the students slow our videos down by a third. Not enough as to distort the audio, but just enough to make the video slightly easier to understand. Once you have entered all of the necessary details, click Add a Class. Now that you've created the shell of your class, it's time to add your students into it. In my opinion, our copy and paste function is the quickest and easiest way to do this. All you need to do is click on the Copy Paste Students button here. On the next page, just copy your students' names from a spreadsheet or from a Word document and paste them into this box, like so. Once you've done this, just click Next. On the next page, you can check that your students' names have all been entered correctly. If you notice, for example, that their first names and surnames are the wrong way around, just click on this green button. Once you're happy with everything you see, click Next. On this next page, you'll see one of the following messages beside each student's name. It'll either say a new account will be created, meaning that the student has never had an account on thisislanguage.com before. If the students have never used the site before, a new account will be created for them automatically, so you can leave this as is. If we think we found a match with a student who's used the site before and so already has an account, you'll see his account in this drop-down menu. If this is indeed the student you want to add to your class, select their name from the drop-down menu. Only create a new account if you're adding a brand new student who happens to have the same name. Once you're happy with everything you see, click Save, and your class has now been set up. All that's left to do is to give your students their registration codes, and they'll be able to set up their accounts. You'll see the phrase already registered beside the names of students who've used the site before. They can continue to log in with their existing login details. Click Download Excel to get a handy spreadsheet with all of the registration codes and login details that your students need. So I just have one final thing to tell you about, and that's how students use their registration codes. When students head to thisislanguage.com, this is the screen they'll see. They just need to click on Login in the top right-hand corner. Then, all they do is pop their registration code into the Quick Student Registration box and click Join, like so. Then, they'll be asked to choose a username and memorable password for themselves. They then click Register, and they're good to go. This username and password is what the students will use from now on to log into thisislanguage.com. And that's all there is to it. I've taken up more than enough of your time now. It's over to you. You should see a little Q&A button in the toolbar for this webinar. If you type your questions there, I'll try to answer them in the order they come in. I've also popped our contact email address on the screen. It's schools@thisislanguage.com. You can contact us there at any time if you have any other questions in the future. If you are leaving us now, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you have a lovely day. Bye.